This simulation will describe how an insurer or TPA submits and searches for a first report of injury, FROI, and a subsequent report of injury, SROI. We'll begin by navigating to EDI Web Portal Transaction. The Submit EDI Transaction screen will display. First, we'll select First Report of Injury and the code of 00 Original and select the Continue button. As you can see, all required fields have a red block that says Required. These are mapped to the PA element requirement table and are the same as the ones used by flat filers. The first screen is the Interested Parties tab, where you will populate the claimant, employer, insurer, and claim administrator details. It's important to ensure you're populating this information correctly and double-checking that the names that populate off the FEINs you enter are accurate. Please note, the claim administrator FEIN, name, and address are auto-populated off of the logged-in user's information. However, if these need to be updated, you may still edit the information. Now we'll press Continue to move on to the next tab. The second tab is the Injury Details tab. Enter as much information as possible concerning injury details. Include the date of injury. We'll show here, in order to include the date of injury, you select the calendar icon, press the arrows in order to move forward or backward on the calendar, and then select the date you wish to select. You'll also want to make sure to include the cause and nature of the injury and the body part impacted. We also encourage you to include a narrative to describe the occurrence. As you can see, our system is built to ensure that you don't have any rejections for missing mandatory fields, and you cannot continue to the next screen without providing required information. One other thing to note on this screen is the progress bar at the top, which shows the available screens and which ones you've already populated. Populated screens display a green check mark. Now we'll continue to the next tab. The next tab is for claim information. Here is where you'll show if there is ongoing lost time. This would be a claim type code I, the initial date of disability, when the employer had knowledge, and where you'll enter your claim administrator claim number. Please note, the initial date disability began is used by the adjuster to identify the 90-day begin on date for an NTCP. The date of disability, date of knowledge of the disability, and/or current date disability began, whichever is the latest, is what is used when determining the 21 days. Since these dates are important for the forms, they are required fields, so please take care when entering this data. Now we'll continue to the next tab. Check the certification checkbox to show you're entering accurate information. Then press the Submit button. The last screen you'll see is the confirmation screen. Here is where you get the JCN from your transaction and can click on the hyperlink to obtain the LIBC 90 First Report of Injury transcript to provide to the injured worker. If the transaction has been successfully accepted, the WCAIS application will change the status of the claim, associate the appropriate parties with the claim, and load the insurer's benefit information into the application. As a reminder, claim statuses and claim details in WCAIS are controlled by EDI. Using the JCN from the FROI, you can now file a subsequent report of injury. The jurisdiction claim number is required for all SROI transactions. Before choosing the SROI type, you should review the Form Solution Grid on the main web portal landing page, as this provides specific information to assist you with filing your NCP, NTCP, or denial. For this instance, we'll select a SROI IP and press the Continue button. Please note, the screens you will see are dependent on the MTC type you've chosen, and some screens may be hidden if they're not applicable to the transaction. The Interested Parties tab is mostly grayed out because you can only update this data on a FROI transaction. However, all SROIs require claim representative data such as the name, email, and phone number of the adjuster. Press the Continue button. Injury details will include the same information from the FROI that was previously submitted. However, the Injury tab also requires you to choose an Agreement to Compensate code. This code, as you would recall from the landing page grid, determines if you're filing an NTCP or an NCP. If you pick Agreement to Comp Code L, do you want an NCP or an agreement? If an agreement, you'll populate the award order date to suppress your form solution form. The permanent impairment body part code may be entered if you're reporting a specific loss. Now we'll continue to the next tab. The Claim Information tab should be populated with previously reported information, which is unlikely to have changed. Note that some fields may be grayed out based on the MTC type you chose. Unless there were intermittent periods of disability, you shouldn't need to update anything on this screen. Now we'll continue on to the Benefit Information tab. If you're reporting the claim type code as I, indemnity, the average wage, calculated weekly compensation amount, and benefit segment are required. If there are adjustments, credits, or redistributions, this may also be reported on this same screen. If there are other benefits, such as attorney fees, for example, these may also be added here as well. Here we'll show how to add a benefit segment. Note that when adding benefit information, these details will be populated on your form solution form if you didn't use an award order date. You may add more than one benefit segment if applicable. Please remember that the Add button is applicable on all grids on this page. Now we'll continue to the Payment Information tab. The Payment Information tab is usually used for the SROI PY or SROI RE for reduced earning information, so you may not need it for all MTCs, such as the SROI IP. So we'll continue on to the next tab. The certification checkbox again should be selected to show that you're providing accurate information. Then press the Submit button. On the confirmation screen, you'll be provided with information on the status of your claim. Additionally, there will be a hyperlink to the form solution form you generated, in this case, an NCP. Next, if you wanted to search for and review the status of a FROI or SROI submitted, we'll select Search, EDI Web Portal Transaction. Please note that despite the name, all EDI transactions, regardless of submission type, can be searched here. Enter information for at least one of the fields. Here's a tip. If you wanted to check to see how many of a particular transaction type you filed or the number of rejections in a given time frame, this is a good place to enter that information. For this search, we'll search by the CACN of the claim that we just entered. You can see now that there are 2 transactions for this claim and that the claim is in compensable status. Select the Jurisdiction Claim Number link to view more detailed information about the claim and/or transaction, or to view the NCP. Another tip, do not attempt to file EDI from this screen, especially Often Accepted Transaction. Always file EDI from the Submit Web Portal Transaction screen. Thank you for watching. This demonstration is now over.